we can't say that in good conscience because we have plastic and trash. Because everyone's been like, what about the change in lifestyle? You know what the change in lifestyle does is we're being more like, all right, let's stop patting ourselves in the back. But this is what you want. You want the change in the lifestyle.
I'll still with that.
Oh, fuck me.
Just wanted to clarify a couple things.
I don't know if that's going to give me a fucking flag me a little bit. It may well do. I've noticed that stuff I had up ages ago, a few years ago, has been flagged for a lousy 20 seconds of, showing some horse crap TV show. And, these are things that I put up 3 years ago, and they've been flagged like 6 months ago, and it's like, my gosh, it took you 2.5 years to get to it. Copyright algorithms and all that, but oh, the world's most sustainable village. There they are out in who knows where. It looks like Thailand, to be quite honest. World's most sustainable village. Well, these girls, they don't get there in time. My gosh, we need you to be here this time to do this, to do that. And, well, we've been travelling since 5 a.m. to get here at 9 o'clock here, but you're supposed to be here yesterday. Well, if you want, what will help you in your future with blah, blah, blah is recommendations from the institute you work for. And then she almost goes to tears, oh, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. And one of the supervisors or whatever, if you guys are like this, how are you going to be in the real world getting a job? You turn up the day later, all this sort of stuff. Oh, we've been working our ass off. Oh, well, I was making sure we had the right online presence, blah, blah, blah. They're trying to be a sustainable village. The world's most sustainable village, with all their plastic bottles and shit everywhere. And, well, we're not going to be that anymore. Oh, so I've been working hard on this project on our website to raise the initiative, raise the publicity, whatever it is, that we're going to be the world's most sustainable village, and I've been working so hard on that project. I've been going flat out, oh, poor me, I couldn't turn up. Oh, God, blimey, And then as they're sobbing about it, you can see all the bloody plastic bags hanging off things in the background. You're like, oh. So this is the trouble. A lot of this stuff, they're not so much off-grid as trying to be sustainable. But it's all just a big bloody joke. It's a bunch of fucking people who are like, 18 years old, just out of fucking school, and well, you're going to have a job in the real world. Well, you can tell with statements like what happens when you get a job in the real world, that they haven't actually had their first job yet, And, oh, well, we're trying to be the most this and the that and the, oh, blah, 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 blah. This is all it is. It's a bunch of young kids in a frickin' dream. The president had showed there, the guy with a bit of a goatee. Well, what was he? Fucking, what, 25? 27 at most? Probably only 25, And it's all like a fucking camping adventure, but we're going to be the most this and this. Oh, man, fuck me. I hate to say it because they're out in the forest, but maybe they lost the forest for the trees. Or in that case, it looked like fucking banana plants. There was plenty of them around, but... Oh, it always makes me laugh because you see all these ones and they're all out there. And, if I turned up and I said, well, I want to be a part of the project, I've got a clue. I've spent, honestly, within the next 3 weeks, it's going to be 8 years off-grid, This is what flies, this is what doesn't. You can't expect to, do this or that or whatever. If you're going to deal with anything compost related, make sure it's actually, the shit is composted, not fucking raw manure, And I'd turn up to all this sort of same crap that these organisers have turned up to, all the fucking sook stories and oh, I'm going to be part of a big project, but I got told off for turning up a day late and all this stuff, and I don't know if I want to boo-hoo, and how are you going to go in the real world? Oh, well, I'm putting my heart and soul into this to get recommendations to build my career, but, you know, oh, God, they're still kids, you know, like, and they're just, like, no disrespect to the people who try to start this, because you know there's some people there, like the supervisor, who you guys didn't see, who, you know, wanted to, you know, friggin' get the ball rolling, and they've got schedules and times and goals they're trying to meet by a certain time, and all they're dealing with is all these flaky kids in dreamland, you know? Too busy fucking banging around on their iPhones to fucking, you know, really get serious about it, you know. Just before you saw what I showed there, you might have actually seen it. They're using the frickin' food processor to, I don't know what they're doing, if they're making smoothies or making soup or what the hell they do. You know, and there's nothing wrong with that, you know, but it's, there's two different things. You can go sustainable, which is, you know, not wasting much stuff and whatnot, and trying to, you know, minimise waste and all that, or you can go absolute caveman style. And there's some people who are right into that caveman style, but you know, you can actually, if you understand, and although I haven't done it, I've seen aspects of things that have been done. If you understand flywheels very well, it's amazing what you can do with hand-wound equipment. A lot of you might see bench grinders, you know, some of the bigger ones, like one of my father's got there, your proper size bench grinder, you know, 1200 watts. You can get little tiddler ones, 250 watts. Or I remember when I was a kid, one of my school friends, his parents were German, they had a grinder that was actually hand wound, and you had some sort of a cog system on it, and you'd wind it up, and the sheer weight of the wheel would just keep going and grind away whatever you wanted for a while, and then you keep going. There's another one my father's got sitting in front of his shed, and it's a bit of a has-been, but it's a giant wheel, and you know, I've got a broken, smaller, worn-out one over there as well. It's a grind wheel, and they put like a square hole in the middle, and then a crank handle. The one my father's got actually still got the crank handle. You know, and they wind it up, and then you grind away, and if you want to speed up, you wind up some more. If you understand all that, you can do some fairly fascinating things, especially if you couple it with a bike or you couple it with a wind turbine in particular. That can do some miraculous things. You know, you get a bit of wind and the gusts might come in, and then for 5 minutes the wind backs off, but it doesn't matter because the flywheel's still spinning. There's a lot of these old school technologies you can adapt to newer things, but this iPhone generation doesn't know anything except for outright electronics and batteries. You know, and there's so many, you know, strange things, kinetic energy devices, you know, micro, hydro. I've also considered the idea of even in high rainfall areas, it's not unlikely that you could have a decent sized roof on a hill with a pipe that runs down somewhere else and have micro hydro on the top of that. There's another system that a guy I know, he's a software millionaire, he mentioned one a few years back when I last saw him, that it's basically a solar water pump, which I've seen a few around here and they exist. But this solar water pump would pump up to a tank on top of the hill, and you use batteries, but they're sort of more like giant capacitors, so that when your inverter system starts running, it starts running off these giant capacitors for about 10-15 seconds. And what happens is they turn the tap on electronically, they got some, I don't know if it's like a linear actuator or like a spring-loaded mechanism that's attached to one, and as you go to use power, bang, turns on the water from the tank on top of the hill and runs microhydro, but it takes like about 15 seconds to build up. So your initial 15 seconds you run off capacitors through, that's running your inverter system until, bang, the microhydro catches up. But it's a system that didn't use any batteries, and you could have a huge amount of power if you had a decent-sized tank on this hill. And it was quite a fascinating sort of a setup. I don't think it really got hold with many people because it was such an expensive sort of a turnout. But once again, like a kinetic energy type of a setup where, you could actually take out the electrical equation and have, something that runs off, things spinning. There's also, there's workshops. There's one that I've seen that's a workshop set up to be old school. And some of you, particularly older people, you may have seen this, where they have in the rafters, in the trusses of the shed, a whole bunch of blooming shafts and belts flying away. And you have like a steam engine or whatever on one end that runs your belt, and runs, the belt goes up to a shaft, and you have this big shaft on the roof, and every other machine in the place has a belt going from the shaft in the roof down to the side of the actual machine and goes into the machine. And they had freaking everything running on very sort of, clutch systems like this. So you pull a lever down, you kick a clutch in, and you had a bench drill, you had a friggin' lathe, you had all this shit all ran off this spinning shaft stuck in the roof. And it's quite a fascinating setup if you've seen that sort of stuff. But anyway, I always just have a laugh when I see some of these young people. It's all just it's like a bloody camping adventure, and there's so many of them that have just had it so easy that they can't even take it seriously because it's all just, play around. And, well, how are you going to go for a future job if your future job recommendations are based on an organisation you work for and you got a shit recommendation? Oh, I don't know if I want to be part of this project anymore. Oh, good, fly home to mummy and daddy, on mummy and daddy's coin, Oh, God. You really do wonder how these people are going to go when they grow up. But the question is, like, furthermore, you got people out there who are not much younger than me, still living at home with their parents, still working part-time at Starbucks. It's like, holy smoke, never mind these 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old. What's going to happen with the ones my age who are like that, who are freaking... You go fly the coop one day, Oh, in many ways, I probably should have flew the coop earlier than I did, but I didn't have much options and I didn't know about van life. And if I had known about van life, maybe I would have flown the coop earlier. But anyway, I'm friggin' damn lucky to got what I've got, But yeah.